Well, this topic we are going to talk about something very important is something that happens to many of us either at work and school or something else, and it is about what you should not to do in a presentation, that is failure presentations. Many of the time it happened to us because we do not we have the correct information and we get nervous. So what is done in a presentation regularly is that many want to finish early, and something when you speak very quickly you get stuck and you may forget what you were going to say. That is why it is in this video we want to talk about is wrong to do and thus correct those mistakes that we regularly make. Some elements that are made in failure presentation is that something they do not have a good bone presentation, that their presentation is not animate, does not infect people, and does not perceive a motivation. Another that is not effective and must be effective when it comes to attractive, the person must arouse the interest of the audience. It requires work, but not everyone always manage to do in a meet the objectives, and that is why many wonder what we should improve to stand out more in the presentation. So this will be the instructive video of what not to do in a presentation. Below is the following. So first is just filler words. Many presentations start with a then, and of course we also have moments when fear attacks us, and this makes us believe that we are not prepared even we have a lot of presentation. In tests of sticking with a wheel, switching points, and take a deep breath, and if necessary take a moment of silence. 2. Visual the presentation brown. It is very easy for many people to get caught up in their tone and believe that the presentation is going astray, and for that reason they show signs of concern. 3. Panic if you make a mistake. Experts make mistakes repairing phrases and hardly not. Shame over these mistakes is one of the makes of bad. So real take a deep breath and say something positive to yourself. So keep the positive tone in your head and focus on your audience. 4. Not being prepared enough. Many of the times we are arrived at the presentation and we feel confident that we are going to say things well, but on the hour we are arrived shy and forget what is drawn in the presentation. It is important to have a deep knowledge of the information. 5. Do not think about your audience. Good planning of your presentation requires that you think about the need of your audience. Beyond what you have prepared, we be sure they interact with the public as their opinion and give them a voice to give their opinion. And 6. Little visual appeal. The visual impact is together with the storytelling the most important factor we must consider when prepare a presentation. In this sense, it is important to be clear and concise. Carefully choose the font size so that it is not too small. Use images and colors that make the slide aesthetically attractive but also contribute to the clarity and legitimacy of the information we present. Well, as a conclusion of what should not be done in the presentation is that the information must be prepared beforehand. Teach and practice with someone and check if everything is okay with the presentation. Rather spend some time to get to the audience to do the thing good. Many of the times the presentations are made wrong because we do not use an adequate language and we confuse words with others and they are not understood. Another thing is that when the information is long, the public will get bored and I may no longer pay attention to it. Many start presenting the subject, and it is better to start with anecdotes or other things. Reading the presentation is very bad. That should not be done in a presentation is a lack of respect toward the audience. It will show the presentation without passion or creativity and to conclude with conclusion because these errors are the ones that are made daily the presentations of what is not done in the presentation because that is not making those mistakes and committing them at the time of the presentation is my personal opinion. You should practice a lot not to make these presentations than make the presentation that feel the motivation and that they interest people in what is being practiced in order to make better presentation and obtain good results as a presentation platform, research on the subject, give anecdotes, and talk with the audience.
Hello, my name is Fabiola Cantu Cavazos, and I'm going to explain or make up a scene where a presentation absolutely failed. So, imagine that you're a classmate, a usual classmate, and your teacher brings an expert about certain topic to expose in order to give applause to the class. So this expert comes on and starts to put on the presentation in the computer in the projector. So the presentation show up and it has like neon green, orange, bright neon colors, and you're just sitting down like, oh my god, this is making my eyes hurt. So the expert goes and he's like really happy with his presentation, but not only it has neon colors that make your eyes hurt, it also has in contrast white lyrics or letters. So the letters on the text doesn't like shows up correctly. It's you're trying to read the presentation, the information in order to get more into the topic, but you just can't because your eyes doesn't focus okay in the presentation. Also the sunlight is hidden from the window, so the presentation doesn't looks pretty good. And also the expert that is exposing to you and your classmates is having a lot of trouble like getting the tone of their voice correctly. So sometimes it like hits you so hard and sometimes you just can't hear him or her correctly. The voice isn't modulated well. So in this I found two situations that makes the presentation go fail, big X in here. So first, the combination of colors that doesn't match the topic and does not combine at all and makes it all hard and difficult for the spectators and the public to really get into the topic and can read the information to plasmate it in your presentation. And also the tone of voice. If the person, the expert that is exposing or the presenter that is exposing sometimes goes like super high and sometimes there he goes like super low, you cannot read the presentation and you cannot hear the presentation. So at the end of the day you're not going to understand anything at all. You have to put so much effort and it doesn't match this stuff because presentators and expositors have to go right to focusing on their public and try to make the public focus in the presentation, but this is just going to make the public not want to get into the topic, not want to listen or to read or to focus in the presentation. So in conclusion, the failures were using colors that does not match the topic, using bright colors and combining it bad with the lyrics or letters or the text, and not knowing how to modulate your voice, your tone of voice. So thank you.
In a personal experience, I felt that I have in a presentation was to put many animation in the presentation. This at first I considered that would look good and cool and would attract attention, and I got my presentation, but the end my teacher gave me the feedback and comments that using a lot of animation, the people who see your presentation can be distracted and focus more in the magic or the videos and that on what I want to show or what I am explaining. To which I understood that it's necessary to have a balance between the text, the magic, and the colors that do within it, since everything is a set for the presentation to be successful and understandable to the public. Because in the presentation we have to have very small margin of error, since if a person does not have balances in their slide in the public will be boring or very heavy. That is why they use the off key words. And that I recommend using warm colors or pastels than the letter that is used easy to understand. This is very important, and the color of the letter is indicated so that the person who is singing it becomes more attractive without the need to use many animation. Of course, the use of animation gives an extra touch to the presentation, but we should not use them to the maximum. It's better to have our answers using the presentation and know the audience that it's important, because it's a little casual or personal for kids or more formal, so it's very important the audience for your presentation, because it's in the kids it's more it's important use anime because it's more attractive for the kids, but in format it's not recommend use the animation because it's formal and the person it's for work. So thank you.
Hello, today I'm going to talk about the common mistakes that people make when doing a presentation. Okay, so some common errors that people make is that they don't have that sufficient preparation for the presentation. This means that they have lack of preparation, and common mistakes that people do is that they don't rehearse the things that they are going to say in the presentation. So this makes them less efficient and they seem an image that they are less prepared. So another common error is the incorrect use of visual aids. This means that people usually make presentations with images and they talk about some examples by themselves, and some other people which make an error of putting just images and not explaining as much of the topic they're talking about. So this is for the audience is that they are going to be lost because they don't have as much information from the topic from the exposed person, and this is a common error too. In conclusion, some common errors are the lack of visual aids, lack of preparation, sense of humor, and among others. So the best way to avoid this error is to prepare and be with an enthusiastic sense of humor, and this will make you feel comfortable and feel presentable.
Hi, I am Giancarlos and I will talk about the most common mistake that people make in presentations. For me, the most common mistake is to not be sufficiently prepared. This is because you don't know your audience, or you just you are lazy, or I don't know, and don't get sufficiently prepared. You need to be conscient of the people that you're going to make a presentation. You need to know the information that you will talk about. You need to know the ambient that where you're gonna take place for the presentation, and the most important is you have to know your information. You have to learn it, to explain it well, to be with a lot of images, like colorful, not too much information, because that doesn't let the people understand your presentation.